Greetings all, and welcome to Daily Pali Reading. Today, I wanted to look into the Itivuttaka. I did one video from the Itivuttaka. It was really connected with like getting into reading Pali, maybe more from a beginning point of view. But I wanted to go back here to the beginning of the Itivuttaka. And just spend a little time here in the first sutta. I just, all of the Buddhist teachings are actually amazing. And I think this one is particularly amazing. It is found, the Itivuttaka is found in the Khuddaka Nikaya. That is the, this vast collection of like minor meaning like shorter works maybe, but a vast collection. We'll see here in a minute where this title comes from, Itivuttaka, kind of like thus was said. When you see Pali here in the title, I think here Pali is, its original meaning is the text, the text of the Itivuttaka. The Itivuttaka is divided into different nipata, and this is the ekaka nipato, or the division on the ones, we might just say. Pāṭibhogo, the chapter, maybe another way to talk about divisions, dividing texts, maybe a chapter on, or not chapter on, sorry, the first chapter, Pāṭibhogo, first. And then the name of this sutta, Lobhaṃ sutaṃ, the sutta on lobha, or greed. We'll take it part by part here. So, Vuttañhetaṃ bhagavatā, vuttamarahatāti me sutaṃ. Etaṃ, this saying, or sorry, this was said, bhagavatā, by the Blessed One. So this is an instrumental here. If we say our invocation, we are probably very used to bhagavato, which would be dative. Here, again, this is instrumental. Vuttañhetaṃ. Now, here we have a couple of things going on. This is really just, here, we get it again, still not quite in its the form we would expect. Really, we would expect vuttaṃ, we would expect, let me make sure I've got the Pali enabled here. We're expecting that. But we're getting a sound change because not only is this followed by an but this H has been added. And it's just what happened when these were spoken together. So that turns the into this, like an pardon me for attempting to say that out of context. But that's all that's going on there. It's just this word. And then we kind of have something similarly said. This and said, ahaṃ me sutaṃ. So, saying, said by the arahant, heard by me. We'll check one thing here. So, again, said by the arahant, and again, this is instrumental. So I should say that when we have some sort of passive construction, or in the passive voice, the agent is actually in the instrumental. So said by the arahant, the worthy one, the one who completed, attained liberation, me sutaṃ. And this is really the same thing. By me, now this is the shortened form, but still instrumental, sutaṃ, heard by me. Now in English, we don't tend to favor the passive voice a huge amount. So you might say, I heard the saying of the arahant. Maybe something like that. And I hope that this is somewhat useful. I'm not putting up the translation here. I mean, I hope this is helpful. You can always let me know if things aren't clear. People don't let me know typically, and I don't think it's because it's so clear, but maybe it's, well, I don't know why, But if things are unclear or if I've made a mistake, please do let me know. Okay, now, the following, the Etamatthaṃ here is really pointing to this text here that follows. So we will read this much of it right now. Ekadhammaṃ bhikkhave pajahatha ahaṃ pāṭibhogo anāgāmitāya Katamaṃ Ekadhammaṃ Lobhaṃ bhikkhave Ekadhammaṃ pajahatha ahaṃ pāṭibhogo anāgāmitāyāti. Actually, we'll stop there and we'll pick this up in a second. So this is what the Buddha said. We get quotes here in our modern editions. This is actually, from the Itivuttaka.org website. And, but we probably would expect that after this, me sutaṃ. So what does the Buddha say? First of all, he's addressing a group of monks, bhikkhave, O monks. And we'll skip here ahead to this, to the verb. Now, this is an imperative. Pajahatha, give up. Pajahati, kind of give up, renounce. Ekadhammaṃ, one dhamma. Give up a single dharma. Give up a single quality. Give up a thing, one thing. However you think that might best, however you understand that best. Monks, renounce, give up one thing. Ahaṃ, I, and we'll take this in order and then smooth it out. Well, actually, no, we're going to take it in almost in order. I, now this is like I am a guarantor for you for non-returnment. Maybe you could say something like, and I had a way written down, I thought, and I can't really find it here. Let me see. What did I do with that? I thought I had a good way. Oh, yeah, okay. So, I provide assurance for you for non-returnment. I think that's a good way to look at that. This is another short form. This is the second person plural personal pronoun. So, again, I am providing assurance. And I think this is often taken like, I guarantee you, we could maybe say it like that. I guarantee you non-returnment. And I'm saying it like that, and now in a weird way. We'll talk about that in just a second. I provide assurance for you for, or this state. And so the reason I'm saying it like that is this anāgāmitāya. This is dative from anāgāmitāya. And that is itself the state, the more abstract state of an anāgāmiṃ, one who does not return, a non-returner. That's a technical term. That is someone who will not be reborn here, at least in this world, not returning to this world. We'll get into that in just a second. Katamaṃ, Ekadhammaṃ. What? Single quality? What one thing? And I went ahead and put it in red here. Lobhaṃ, bhikkhave, Ekadhammaṃ pajahatha. Pajahatha. I know I already read this, but I think they are powerful words. Renounce the single thing, greed, lobha, the first of like the three fires, the three poisons. Now in English, we might say it a little differently grammatically, like greed, give up this single thing, you know. He's put it first here. It's still the object of this pajahatha. Monks, renounce the single quality, greed. Ahaṃ vo paṭibhogo anāgāmitāyati. I provide assurance for you for non-returnment. You will not come back. If you, let's just restate this. If you were to renounce, if you were to give up, if you were to abandon greed, this single quality, you will not return to this world. Very powerful, right? And again, we want to talk about that in a minute. Etamatthaṃ bhagavā avoca. And here we get bhagavā in the nominative. So we get three examples on this one page here. Nominative, instrumental, and dative. The Blessed One said, this is kind of our aorist, avoca, said kind of like this meaning, said this ahaṃ. Now, ahaṃ has a huge amount of meanings. It could be like a benefit. It could be wealth, riches. It comes up early on in like the first verse of the Metta Sutta. We'll just say that the Blessed One said this. This. We're just going to leave it there. Tatthetaṃ Itivuttaka. Then, tattā. Now this is tattā. It would have this. But when it's followed by this long a, that drops out. And so it could mean tattā has a spatial or temporal meaning. It could be there. But in this case, I think it's temporal, just referring to the next thing, Then, this, thus is said. Took place in the past. This is an example of the historical present. Very, very lively, right? This is said. Then this is said. I like that. And we get a verse. The Blessed One speaks in verse. Yena, lobhena, luddhāse, sattā, gacchanti, duggatiṃ. Taṃ lobhaṃ sammadaññāya, pajahanti, vipassino. Pahāya na punāyanti, imaṃ lokaṃ gacchanti. I think I added something. This is just punāyanti. Ayampi ato vato bhagavatā, itime sutanti Katamaṃ. So if we go here, this is the subject, sattā, beings, living beings. You'll see this as in bodhisattva or bodhisattva. We're probably more familiar with that word in the Sanskrit form, and I think Steely Dan made a song about a bodhisattva. But sattā, this is just beings, and we'll take this little gattā here first. Beings, gacchanti, go, duggatiṃ. they go to a bad destination. And remember, in Pali and Sanskrit, and really in Greek and Latin, and even in English, it's let me just say that the object of motion is expressed in, or is put in the accusative case. I say that in Greek and Latin, it's not always. I think you find examples there. In English, if you say, I'm going home, I think that's an example, unless you want to say it's homeward or something. But anyway, beings go to a bad destination. And luddhā, like greedy beings, by this lobha, by means of this lobha, beings like maybe caught up in greed go to a bad destination. Now, if you look up here, now, and I should say, like, luddhā is just modifying sattā. So that's nominative plural. Say, if you look that up, I guess that's a Magadism. Magadha was a language spoken at the time. You know, it was another Prakrit. I think they're saying that it means tongue. And I think that's what the commentary says as well, from what I could determine. But when I say they, I mean the Pali English Dictionary. If that's the case, then I'm taking this tongue, I'm saying that this is going to modify the duggatiṃ. I could be way off on that, and you can please let me know, dear listener. I don't think it's going to vastly change the meaning, but I think that's how these things fit together. And then we have this, we'll go down here. We have our subject here, vipassino. Now, for those of us who practice insight meditation, or for those of you, and even if you haven't, you probably heard of vipassana. Vipassino, this is nominative plural of vipassin, and that is not so much those who have insight, maybe, I mean, you could think of it that way, those who practice vipassana, but those who see clearly, you know, see into things, renounce, you know, give up. This is the third person singular form of this second person plural imperative. Those who see into things renounce tongue lobhaṃ, this greed, by means of sammadaññāya. Now this one, you might look at this and think it's sammadaññāya, but, and I'll try, let's see if I can pull it up here, and then I think if you just look up sama, now this is like samaditthi, etc. I would like to share what they say here. And that is that this D is inserted for Sunday. The Pali English Dictionary gives another example, which means when you look this up, you have to look up, you have to find the anyaya under under A, not under D. So they're saying like with perfect knowledge, you know, sama, complete, anya, knowledge here. So that's how they're looking at this. There could even be ñāning, one who has the correct knowledge, insight. This is all going back to like janati, or if you, not so much goes back to, but the verb janati. Jana would be the root there, which sometimes just comes up as ñā. So by means of, this would be instrumental, and this is one of the feminine long a, ah. So this aya, we really don't know. It could be dative, or it could be not. It could be locative. I think there you would sometimes see an but genitive, dative, etc. So, but I think the sense here is pretty clear. Sammadaññāya, by means of like perfect insight or perfect knowledge. And I like this. I like kind of connecting this with vipassana, just because I think it adds an element of how one would go about abandoning greed. And then Pahāya, this is the gerund, or the, let's say, absolutive of pajahanti. Having given this up, that's understood, na punāyanti. So the subject isn't explicitly stated. We know that this is third person plural, they. This is obviously referring to the vipassino. They, punā means again, but when it comes into contact here, we're getting this, it's just kind of disappearing. Ayati means to go, to return. Let me. So let's not say return. Let's say just to come. They don't come again, where, again, the object of motion put into the accusative, imaṃ lokaṃ, this world, kudacchanti, ever. Having given up greed, they never return to this world. Ayampi atovato bhagavatā itivuttaka Katamaṃ. You could say this also, or this meaning also was said by the Blessed One. Itivuttaka. And here, this happens. This is the same sort of situation. Me iti me sutaṃ. That's the very same thing as this me sutaṃ. However, the person who is saying this, Ananda, they're closing that off with a T. Like that whole thing was heard. So, so this isn't like a third person plural verb or anything. This T marks the end of the speech, but it's changing the into an un. And then Katamaṃ means like the first instance. There are, as you go on, this is sort of formulaic where they go on to dosa and moha, etc. So I want to just, first of all, I want to apologize. I know I kind of bumbled my way through that. I hope this is helpful. To me, this is so deeply powerful, and it's really, it is like reassuring. I will reassure you, monks. And remember, monks, that's anyone, I'm not a monk, but all of us who really try to practice the teaching seriously, we are receiving this teaching. We are the bhikkhave here. At least I believe that's what Tatthetaṃ says. So says in his writings, I'll just say it that way. So it's just so powerful. And it's interesting to me that one of the things here is the Buddha does not say you must transcend space and time. You must have these great, like, kind of powerful experiences, like meditative experiences, to in order to become a non-returner, or kind of to see your self nature and become a Buddha. He's not, which I'm not saying it doesn't necessarily require that, but I just like the way it's kind of laid out here. It's like, look, you're greedy. We're all greedy. Give that up, and you won't ever come back to this kind of, I'll bleep this out, but this world. Sadly, that you won't have to come back. You won't have to go through this, and it's by giving up, and not only giving up and abandoning, but rooting out this greed. And when you look around, I'm going to call out Christian nationalists. You can call out, I can call out myself. But when you see kind of on like large displays of just greed celebrated and embraced, and greed for power and money, and just obviously we see politicians do that. It's sad when people who identify with certain religions that you might associate more with like compassion and poverty fall into just being overwhelmed by greed. You can see how dangerous and awful it is. But it's also awful in our personal lives. And I'm saying this as someone who, on a daily basis, I feel like, how can I, be less greedy? Like I just, for me, it's easy to be greedy with, I want, this certain amount of time to myself. And, but, we live in a world where people need things, and our significant others need things. Our families and friends need things. And so, it's not easy. And like I was saying earlier, yeah, it's, I do think it's terrible to see these large displays of greed, but I think I certainly don't want to let myself off the hook for being less greedy, because it's not anyone else that I can change. And I think it would be beautiful to become a non-returner. Lastly, I just want to spend a little bit of time, and I know we've probably blossomed into some like massively long video. We have. I'm sorry about that. But just to spend a little bit of time on like how you can understand this. I don't mind taking this literally. I really don't. I don't have a huge metaphysics build up in my head, if we can use that word, but I'm not even sure that's the best word. But I don't, I guess I should say I am pretty open to the fact that consciousness is really its own thing. And I don't know how it works, but I take it seriously that consciousness is something that's irreducible. I don't think that means that it, we find it, obviously in human beings one way. You might find it in a table a different way, if you want to even grant that a table is conscious. But the point is, I do take that very seriously. I know that there are people out there who are materialists and probably throw up a little when they hear people talk like that, or at least are not, don't take this very literally. I think even not taking it literally is, and there's a good reason why you might do this, is that you won't come back to this same world if you gave up greed, right? If we could renounce greed, we wouldn't live in the same world. And that's sort of, it's not really just like, it's sort of like Heraclitus saying you can't step into the same river twice. This world is, of course, constantly changing. We're constantly changing. But if we changed in such a way that we were not greedy, that we didn't, have these desires for things and, for power and for money and even, for our time and all that, if that were not like a constituent element of our being, think how different this world would be. Peace, everyone.